Hello, and welcome to our second pre-meeting video of the Connectional Table. I'm Cynthia Dopke, Assistant Connectional Ministries Officer, and here to share with you a very brief introductory overview of some of the recent history of Connectional Table's work related to strengthening our worldwide connection. As Bishop Patrick Strife pointed out in the first video, our history as a worldwide church goes back to the 19th century, but I'm going to focus on our very recent history of the past 12 years. The Connectional Table has partnered with the Council of Bishops to discern and propose changes that would allow us to live more fully into our worldwide nature. One key driver of the urgency of this work has been the fruit of our missional spirit. In other words, the rapid increase of disciples of Jesus in the United Methodist Church beyond the United States. The United Methodist Church membership has shifted dramatically with rapid growth, mostly in Africa. As you can see in this statistical snapshot, in 2004, the U.S. church membership made up 81% of the denomination, with membership in Africa, Europe, and Asia at 19% combined. Today, the United States makes up about 58% of the overall membership, with Africa, Europe, and Asia at 42% combined. That is a dramatic change in demographics in just 10 years. We have grown by 2.4 million members in 10 years, and while we have anticipated such changes since the 1990s, we have not yet adapted our governance models to accommodate a very different composition of our church. In 2005, the Connectional Table was a newly formed entity after the dissolution of the General Council on Ministries. A joint Council of Bishops and Connectional Table Task Force engaged in the theology and ecclesiology of our worldwide nature as a church. This resulted in several petitions, including constitutional amendments that were approved at the General Conference to pave the way for the United States to become a central conference, and for further meetings of the General Conference to focus on worldwide matters and not on matters that are only relevant in the U.S. There was a spirit of momentum. However, the vision of change prompted much fear and misunderstanding, and the constitutional changes were not ratified in the annual conferences. Thus, there was no change to our governance. What did get approved in the 2008 General Conference was permission to create the Study Committee on the Worldwide Nature of the United Methodist Church to continue the work. The CT and the Council of Bishops selected 20 members and several consultants to bring a vision and a plan to the 2012 General Conference, and the Study Committee focused on 4 goals. One was to create a worldwide covenant, which is now paragraph 125. The second was to explore global models of governance that would be a living example of our Wesleyan ecclesiology and theology. Number 3 was to propose a new global or general book of discipline that would be much smaller, and this core document would apply to all conferences in the connection with a new adaptable section. And number 4, the goal was to add language to the book of discipline that clarifies the scope and spirit of the work of general agencies in our worldwide context. The committee named the Connectional Table as the body to implement the process that gathered the feedback from across the connection and to propose legislation in 2016. Last quadrennium, the Connectional Table took up this task in a few ways. We surveyed and asked United Methodists to engage the question, how should the U.S. Church make decisions that only pertain to the U.S. Church? The Connectional Table also supported the Standing Committee's work on the draft General Book of Discipline and the work of the General Board of Church and Society to revise the social principles to be more global in nature. And we supported the work of the General Council on Finance and Administration to begin implementing new Central Conference apportionments. These were all pieces of the overall movement toward becoming a more worldwide church in our living practice of connectionalism. The CT, however, decided not to submit legislation on any major structural changes to the 2016 General Conference, but instead saw that the work needed to deepen and align into this current quadrennium toward the 2020 General Conference. Also in 2016, the General Conference supported the Connectional Table's petition to work on re-envisioning the CT itself to become a leadership body that is more representative of our worldwide connection. We call this new body the General Church Council for now, and this is part of our work this current quadrennium in partnership with the Council of Bishops. One important theme through this work over the recent years centers on the fact that our current church governance structure is outdated and too U.S.-centric to be effective in our worldwide connection today. The Joint Task Force of the Connectional Table and Council of Bishops in 2007 wrote, 10 years ago, wrote, "While we celebrate the worldwide nature of our ministry as United Methodists, we confess that too often we fail to operate as the body of Christ as described in 1 Corinthians 12. As with secular society, economic and political power in the denomination rests in the United States. A look at the Book of Resolutions provides proof of the predominance of U.S.-centric issues at General Conference. We know that cultures outside of the United States are just as complex, yet the legislation does not reflect the complexity. Why?" So that work is continuing now into the current quadrennium, and we have 3 worldwide nature advisory groups that make up the work. It is the U.S. Structure Advisory Group, the General Church Council Advisory Group, and the Chapter 5 Revision Advisory Group, which is partnering with the Standing Committee on Central Conference Matters and the Committee on Faith and Order to revise the administrative order of the United Methodist Church. And our next video will go into more detail about the work of this current quadrennium.